Common terms used in personal injury lawsuits and sexual assault lawsuits. Today, I'm going through some of the most common terms that you may have heard and may be wondering what they mean. I'm Natalie Gerry from Gerry Law. I help injured people get the compensation that they deserve for their injuries. Today, I'm talking about some common words that come up in your personal injury action and what they mean so that you can have a better sense of what is going on and what these terms really mean. Let's start with a common term that is thrown around and that means something maybe different than people typically think. The term assault, this is a common word used in usually sexual assault lawsuits or sometimes just a physical assault lawsuit. This term actually means creating the fear of the anticipation of someone causing physical harm to you. So as the plaintiff, if you feel fear that someone is taking action and they are saying things that they are going to cause you harm physically, this constitutes assault. It is the threat of bodily harm. A lot of people in the criminal context think that this is the actual act of physically harming someone, but it is actually the causing of fear in the plaintiff. That's a term that's a bit misunderstood. Moving along though to the term battery. Battery occurs when someone intentionally puts physical contact onto another person. So this is where there is the physical contact that causes harm or just the physical contact that is actionable in the lawsuit. Battery is really when a person touches another person in a harmful manner without their consent. In sexual assault lawsuits, this is often unwanted sexual contact, which constitutes battery of the plaintiff. Moving on to the term consent. Consent is the voluntary agreement to participate in an activity. In the context of a sexual assault action, this is usually to do with participating in the sexual activity. And if there is no consent, then it would constitute a battery or an assault, or probably both, and it would be legally actionable. The next term is damages. So this is a little bit of an odd term maybe, but it refers to the monetary amounts that the plaintiff is seeking because of the harm that has happened to them because of whatever the lawsuit is about. And usually with either negligence actions like a slip and fall, or with a sexual assault lawsuit, the damages are for things like pain and suffering, for future therapy costs, even past therapy costs. There's also medical treatment if any medical devices are required and are paid out of pocket. There's also the loss of income because of the injury. So those would be types of damages. And I do have another full video about damages, and that will be linked below. The fifth term that is common in lawsuits is negligence. So this is a legal term that means that someone failed to exercise a reasonable amount of care, and that has resulted in an injury to someone or damages of some type to the plaintiff. Negligence is a term that comes up more so in motor vehicle accidents and slip and fall accidents. In a claim for sexual assault or assault, that is more of an intentional tort, and negligence doesn't factor in necessarily unless there is vicarious liability. So another defendant who is named who may have been negligent and may have fallen below the standard of care required. So in that context, there may be a negligence claim. The next common legal term in lawsuits generally is statute of limitation. So the statute of limitation is the time frame within which you must commence your legal action. Otherwise, it will be what's called statute barred, and you would be out of time and your right to sue can be extinguished. So there are different limitation periods in different provinces, and especially if you're in the US or in another jurisdiction, In Ontario, the most lawsuits are governed by a 2-year limitation, but you need to get legal advice on your particular matter to know if this is the proper timeline that applies to your matter. Some lawsuits also do not have a limitation, but some have very short limitation periods. I will have another video about limitation periods specifically, but what is most important to know is that you should contact a lawyer as soon as possible to avoid missing the limitation, because then your lawsuit could be fully extinguished and you would have no right to sue. The last term that we're talking about today is a common one, and it is the word tort. So you might have heard this and be wondering what it means. In French, the word means wrong, and so in the legal context, it means that a wrong was committed, such as a battery or a negligent action. Those are two types of torts that give rise to legal action. Those are all of the terms that I'm going over today. There are a lot more legal terms that do come up, and you can feel free to ask your lawyer if you have any more specific questions. I'm Natalie Gerry with Gerry Law. Please subscribe to my channel and follow me for more legal videos.